Good evening, Yonkers. It's Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, I want to talk about freedom of speech, the SHIELD law, but more specifically, citizen journalism. Join me. By laws created to protect journalists. But all of us are protected by free speech, right? First Amendment. Good evening, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. I want to talk about this in regards to the Hezi Aris lawsuit, but also my own lawsuit. I'm being sued also because of my podcast. I'm being sued for $1 million by a gentleman who I spoke about here on my podcast many times, but he's involved in politics. He's very active. He has influence and impact on our politics here in the city of Yonkers. Good evening, folks. Thank you for joining me. Freedom of speech. What is freedom of speech? Also, what is the SHIELD law? In the recent lawsuit against Hezi Aris, the founder and editor of the Yonkers Tribune, he was not protected by the SHIELD law. In fact, the judge had previously ruled that Hezi was not a journalist. In fact, he was just a blogger. But many experts say that bloggers are journalists. If they are disseminating information, the news, they are making the public aware of what's going on, of events happening, then they are journalists. They are citizen journalists. What constitutes a professional journalist from a citizen journalist? What separates the two? Some citizen journalists actually do make money. I've made some money. I've made $3 thanks to the stars that I was sent by some of the viewers. But other citizen journalists like Hezi Aris were making money from advertisements on their websites, on his website, the Yonkers Tribune. So in a sense, he was a professional journalist. So why was he not protected by the SHIELD law? And more importantly, why was he not protected by the First Amendment? Right? He was sued by Keith Olson, the Yonkers PBA president, who I saw the other day after my encounter with Alberto Velasquez. How you doing, Keith? I saw you coming off Palmer there. I was screaming your name, Keith. I don't know if you heard me, but as I got off the exit after the police, blocked, get out the way, I got off and I looked back, and who was also getting off the Sawmill on Palmer there? Keith Olson in the black SUV. He was right behind us, so I would imagine he saw everything that was happening there with Alberto Velasquez. So Keith Olson sued Hezi Aris along with former Commissioner John Mueller and former Detective Brian Moran for the Blue Truth series that Hezi Aris was writing on his Yonkers Tribune. He had to give up his sources. That was part of the lawsuit, part of his settlement. He had to give up his sources, which he stated as being Ray Montero, a former Yonkers detective, and also former commissioner, I'm sorry, I forgot, Charles Gardner, who, people praise as the guy who really turned the Yonkers Police Department around when the DOJ was trying to take it over, right? He made a lot of changes, and he was the commissioner for about 8 years before John Mueller came in, and he did about 3, and now he's over at the MTA. They won. Hezi was deemed not a journalist. He had to give up his sources. He had to retract his stories or his articles, and he had to make a public apology. And he has to keep this at the front of his site for at least 30 days. So again, why was Hezi not protected by the SHIELD law and, more importantly, the First Amendment right that we have here in the United States? What is the First Amendment right, if you don't know? I think everyone should know this, right? Freedom of speech. What constitutes freedom of speech? Can you say whatever the hell you want? Can you curse people out? We've seen people curse police officers out, right? And they have not done anything to respond to them. They, it's some people can be very ignorant when trying to prove a point. These what do you call it? First Amendment auditors that go around with cameras. And I like what some of them do. However, some of them do engage in behavior that triggers people, right? And I don't like that. But the First Amendment gives us the right to free speech. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right. So remember, abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. It's not just specific to the press and professional journalism, or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So we have the right of free speech that cannot be prohibited by our government. We have a right to peacefully assemble, and we have a right to petition the government to address our grievances without being arrested or fined. That is our right. So what was Hezi saying in regards to the 3 officers that sued him? Was that freedom of speech, or was he violating their rights and deserved to be sued? Free speech, the First Amendment includes the use of certain offensive words and phrases to convey political messages. Cohen versus California, 1971. So you can even be offensive to elected officials, right? You can, to a certain extent, curse them out, right? Someone said to me, Freddie, be careful when you recording, like the other day with Tasha Diaz, they don't call the cops and try to say you're harassing. And I understand that. And I think I understand the difference between harassing or auditing or holding an elected official accountable. I didn't stay very long. I didn't curse at her. I wasn't loud. I wasn't ignorant. I asked a question and I kept it moving and I did my reporting, but I did not stay there to harass her. I was not in her face. In fact, I even gave plenty of space for her to walk away or go somewhere else if she felt that I was harassing. So, but I do understand that. And they're looking to jam me up. So they're looking for anything to try and get me in trouble. And I think that's what that whole Alberto Velasquez performance was the other day, to try to trigger me, get me out of the car, get me to behave in a similar fashion. And so they can say, look how he is. He's irresponsible. He's aggressive. But instead, I looked at him like, this guy's crazy. Here I am driving. Every New York Constitution, Article 1, Bill of Rights, freedom of speech and press, criminal prosecution for libel. Every citizen may freely speak, write, and publish his or her sentiments on all subjects, being responsible for the abuse of that right, and no law shall be passed to restrain or abridge the liberty of speech or of the press. In all criminal prosecutions or indictments for libels, the truth may be given in evidence to the jury. And if it shall appear to the jury that the matter charged as libelous as true and was published with good motives and for justifiable ends, the party shall be acquitted. So even if it's true, it wasn't a factual statement, but the individual put it out there with the intent to do good, to inform the people of information they deem is important and valid to their well-being, their overall well-being, right? And so that's what I've been doing here in Basement Politics, giving you information on the cast of characters that are operating within our city government in one fashion or another, whether they are an elected official themselves, or they are an appointed official, or they are hired by the city, or they operate behind the scenes in our government, influencing the government, although they don't have an official title, but they have a lot of influence. And that's the man that's suing me, Hezi Aris, former Republican chair here in the city of Yonkers, went to jail for political corruption, went to jail for corrupting an elected official, a city council majority leader, got her to flip-flop her vote, and now he is behind our current majority leader, who also flip-flopped on a vote. That's newsworthy. That must be mentioned. People should know this at least, so they can, decide whether or not they want to reelect her at the very least, knowing that someone with such a past is influencing her decision-making as a councilwoman. It's very important. And yes, I've mentioned family in regards to the gentleman, but his wife works for the city. His wife has a position that she was not qualified for, got the position without taking the test. And that pisses a lot of people that work here in the city off. Let me tell you today, just today, because it happens damn near every day, a city employee who shall remain nameless, I won't say which department, pulled over to thank me for my podcast. He also mentioned that other individuals within the city are also happy to know that Freddie Vasquez has been doing this basement politics, because it needs to be mentioned. It needs to be talked about. The fact that certain individuals, because they're connected to other individuals, will go ahead and skip people, become supervisors, get positions with higher pay than individuals who've been there 10, 15 years or more. It's very frustrating for a lot of people. People who are actually doing the job, busting their ass, who deserve it. And here they have to sit and watch someone just walk right in, make more than them, tell them what to do while doing very little themselves. So, yeah, a lot of people are frustrated with it. And so I've mentioned and I've talked about that. And again, the man suing me's wife is one of those individuals who skipped the line, became a supervisor with no prior past experience at the water department, working for DPW, making $130,000, does not have to take the test, took it and failed, was allowed to retake it until she ultimately, I believe, passed it. But who gets those chances? And why not hire someone from within who is deserving of the promotion? And so for that, I am being sued. I'm being sued. So he's hoping to get my sources. Very recently, his attorneys asked for my sources. This also happened to Hezi Aris. His sources, were subpoenaed, or they wanted to know who his sources was. Hezi Aris is following the same playbook here. And now he's requesting my sources, because citizen journalists are not protected by the SHIELD law. And because of that, we have to give up our sources. What is the SHIELD law? In the United States, any law that protects journalists against the compelled disclosure of confidential information, including the identities of their sources, or the forced surrender of unpublished written material collected during news gathering, such as notes. There are two main justifications of the SHIELD law. First, because individuals who might provide confidential or sensitive information to journalists are unlikely to do so unless their anonymity can be guaranteed. SHIELD laws are essential to the practice of investigative journalism, and thus the existence of a free press, which is guaranteed by the First Amendment. Second, the obligation to respond to subpoenas demanding the surrender of confidential documents would interfere with the editorial process and in other ways infringe upon journalists' freedom of speech, which is also protected by the First Amendment. But what constitutes a professional journalist? Or who's a journalist? Who isn't a journalist? It's interesting how, we change laws because times change, right? Society changes. There are new things happening and new things that are invented. So we have to, create laws. Like marijuana is becoming legal. So now they have to figure out the laws on how to regulate that, right? No smoking weed in the parks. What about smoking and driving? So the same thing should go for citizen journalism. Now that we have many more people becoming podcasters, vloggers, and bloggers, creating websites to bring you hyper local news, national news, especially now more than ever when we can no longer trust the mainstream media to provide us with truthful information. So more people are creating these podcasts, and many people are loving them. They're doing very well. They're getting a lot of views. And this is a threat to the established quo. This is a threat to the establishment. They don't want citizen journalists bringing you the news because now they can't control everyone. See, they control the mainstream media. They control them. Project Mockingbird, right? Just look that up. You can see Congress had hearings with the CIA asking questions. Did the CIA have agents implanted into different news organizations? They didn't deny it. They didn't deny it. And that still happens today. The CIA and intelligence agencies have infiltrated our news media to create a script, to create a narrative that they want you to believe. Just go on the internet while CNN is showing you Ukraine being bombed, Kyiv, the capital, being bombed. You have other people on social media showing you what it looks like there currently. People are walking out and about. No bombs are going off. So how can we trust the mainstream media? So now you have a lot more citizen journalists. So we need to create laws to protect them as well. The only difference between a citizen journalist and a professional journalist, it's not even pay, because citizen journalists make money. It's a matter of corporation. It's a matter of funding. Mainstream media has a lot more money. They have this huge corporation. They have legal teams that will protect them, that will defend them, guide them. Citizen journalisms do not. They don't have these resources. They are there simply to bring you the truth. And because individuals know that citizen journalisms are not these big conglomerate corporations that are all corrupt at this point and have been consolidated to bring you the same news, no difference in opinions or views. They know that they can attack the little guys, right? The guys that are actually bringing the truth. And that's what's been happening more and more. And that's what happened to Hezi Aris. That's what's happening to me with this lawsuit by Hezi Aris. And this is called a slap lawsuit. A slap lawsuit. And that's important to know. This is what Hezi Aris and I were hit with. Slap lawsuits. What is a slap lawsuit? The rights to free speech and petition are enshrined in the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. Free speech and healthy debate are vital to the well-being of a democracy. In fact, the United States Supreme Court has said that the right to petition the government is the very foundation of our democracy. SLAP lawsuit, strategic lawsuit against public participation. SLAPs are strategic lawsuits against public participation. These damaging suits chill free speech and healthy debate by targeting those who communicate with their government or speak out on issues of public interest. SLAPs are used to silence and harass critics by forcing them to spend money to defend these baseless lawsuits. SLAPs filers don't go to court to seek justice. Rather, SLAPs are intended to intimidate those who disagree with them or their activities by draining the target's financial resources. That's also why they attacked my business, to drain my financial resources and prevent me from making more money. SLAPs are effective because even a meritless lawsuit can take years and many thousands of dollars to defend. To end or prevent a SLAP, those who speak out on issues of public interest frequently agree to muzzle themselves, apologize, or correct their statements. Now, what does that sound like? That sounds like Hezi Aris, right? That sounds like exactly what happened with Hezi Aris. So, folks, let's see. This is why it's not going to work to the guys who won. It's not going to work. The lawsuit is not going to work. You know what's going to work? Being good guys, being good people, right? Changing the way you guys do business here in the city of Yonkers. Not changing the people, changing the way you do business. That's what's going to change. Having this lawsuit and having lost it is not going to make people believe that Hezi was lying. No one's going to really say, oh, Keith Dawson, John Mueller, you truly are vindicated. Technically, you guys are. Technically, but let's be honest. The truth is, people still going to believe it. People still believe it. People still know it to be true. Why? Because a lot of this shit does happen here. Let's just fucking be honest, all right? Let's just be honest. This is what sometimes, I can't. We know what happens here in Yonkers. Everybody knows. Again, like the individual that stopped me today said it. Everyone sees this. It's crazy what's been going on here. Employees say this. So just because Hezi had to apologize, had to retract his statements, doesn't mean that people are going to believe this. Doesn't mean that whatever opinions that people had after is going to change. They see through it. They see through it, right? They know that this was about silencing, muzzling, about getting an apology and correcting the statements because they didn't get any money. They didn't win any money. There was no loss that they had, that Hezi had to reimburse them for. It's not like, oh, I lost my job, right? Keith didn't. Keith is one of the most powerful cops in Yonkers, right? He's got steam, as the manager would say, up the ass. You know what I mean? He's got it. I mean, he could, power of freaking steam train all the way to California, or the steam he's got. So it didn't hurt him at all. If his family knows who he is and loves him, doesn't matter what Hezi writes, they're not going to change their opinions about him, right? Neither are his close friends. I doubt it, of any of them, of any of the three of them, right? So what was the loss that they sustained? Truly. What loss did they sustain? So that is why Hezi didn't have to compensate them for anything. What did he do? Retract his statements, make a public apology, keep it up there for 30 days, and then donate some money to the charity of their choice. Because there was no loss. It was a meritless, baseless lawsuit. Hezi has a right to say what he wants. If that's when someone tells him and he goes on and he speaks about it, that's no different than going and talking to people about it out on the street. Is everyone going to get sued? Everyone does this. Everyone does this. Everyone talks about people all the time. And most of the times it's not true. Half the time not true, right? So we would be going around suing everybody. So a real lawsuit has to show a real loss. Where was the loss? There was none. It was a slap lawsuit, a strategic lawsuit against public participation, which is what citizen journalists do. We participate in the public discussion, debates on the issues, public issues involving our government. We speak the truth when our government and mainstream media no longer do. And they don't like it. So they're trying to silence us, right? So that's what happened there with Hezi, and that's what's happening now with me. It's a slap lawsuit. That's all it is, just to silence, to get them to apologize, and to correct their statements because they want that off. It's all, I just don't want that about me out there. That's all it is. Well, it's not going to change the way people feel, right? And Zehi, people are not going to change the way they feel about you because the information that, I discuss, if it didn't come from Google, right, or yourself, it came from those close to you who you were involved and engaged with, right? Very closely in those activities, actually. So they would know. So you doing this is simply to try to hurt my pockets. So, whatever. I don't care. We could go all however long you want to go. But ultimately, you're not going to win because you're wrong, because it is true, because you are doing the things that I say you are doing. And you're going to continue to do them because that is how you make your money. You don't make your money anywhere else. So eventually it's going to have to come to an end. Something's going to have to, right? Something's got to give. Whether the feds come in or, something's got to give, right? I mean, you can't continue to do illegal activity forever. Right? So that's what happened in 2010 when the feds came, right? Something's got to give. Something's going to happen eventually. You cannot continue to do illegal activity forever. Doesn't happen, Zehi. Doesn't happen. Right? You're still involved. Now, maybe if you were to leave now, take whatever money you got, go retire somewhere in Florida or wherever, maybe you'll get away with it. But you continuing to do what you do eventually is going to catch up to you, right? And so you suing me, it's not going to make it any better for you. It's going to open up more worms. So all good things must come to an end, right? So the best thing to have done was just not to mess with that guy, but you're used to stomping on people. That's what you're used to doing, Zehi, right? It's about influential people using their money to try to stomp on the little guy. He's some guy with a podcast, don't got a lawyer or nothing like that. He doesn't know anything. We're going to shut him up like we did Hezi, and we're going to sue him. I'm going to sue him for $1 million. That should scare him. But it didn't. And your injunction to get me to stop talking didn't work either, because I'm exercising my free speech, my right to free speech, my First Amendment right. And besides, a lot of the things that I mentioned, it's already on Google, right? And you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. So again, at some point, something's got to give. Either the feds are going to come in eventually, it's going to, all blow up in your face, or maybe you'll go retire and just get out of politics. But you're continuing to do it. That's what I've always seen in life, right? From all. Look at Bernie Madoff, right? Right? Something eventually, whether it may be one of your underlings, one of those elected officials that you influence, might slip up, but something's gonna happen. And you got too many dummies around you, Zehi. Those people are dummies. Like, what are they doing? Seriously. Too many dummies, too many people done talked, too much info's out. And you can no longer silence it. You can't put the toothpaste back into the tube, right? You didn't say anything wrong. It's going to backfire. Exactly. I didn't say anything wrong. The only thing he's trying to hang his hat on is some affair that I said he had, but he himself admitted that he is an adulterer. He said he was giving Sandy and Nabi these gifts because he was in love with her. He wanted to be with her. So you're admitted to, wanting to be with another woman while you were married. So you're an adulterer. You already admitted that. And then you had, your family members, which, a little suspect now to me, telling me this also. Your cousins, the guys you was cool with when y'all was rolling in the wins, right, at the elections, but then everything. You know what I mean? So I didn't, and the things with Sam Borelli, dude, you guys, you really want to go there with Mark Realty and those guys? I mean, really? Come on. Look at these guys buying up all the Yonkers over there in the Nodine Hill section and all that, kicking people out. How are they doing that? The tenants themselves are telling me what's going on with these guys when they go into the buildings and buy them out. How are they getting this support from the building department? I mean, I could barely get the building department to give me what the proper list of shit that I needed to do. Right, that took forever, but these guys seem to get all this special support and getting people out and all that, getting tenants to get violations for all kinds of shit, just so they can move them out, and then they buy them up and they renovate them. I mean, I know those they came to me first, before they met you. I believe, because they were looking for a guy like you. They were looking for you. They were looking for a guy like you. They told me, they saw me with my blueprint, so they knew I did construction. I was by Delgado's. They own a building right next to Delgado's. What is it, 92, 98 Yonkers Ave or 99? Come on. Like, I'm a little different, Z, because I know a little more. I know a lot of people. I'm connected. I've been in Yonkers for so long. You're not dealing with the average, guy here that maybe doesn't know things. Because I didn't say everything. Some things you keep in your back pocket. Somebody told me that. That's what I've been doing. Come on. Stop it now. The shaking downs of these bodegas. Who's supplying them the marijuana? You did get busted for selling pounds of marijuana once. You wouldn't be back to your old tricks again. I'm just asking. I'm not saying you are. It's just a question. You call Sam Borelli up on your phone, dude, in front of me. Who has that privilege in Yonkers besides the mayor? Who can just call up Sam Borelli whenever to ask him about stuff within the building department on cases just like that? You did it so freely, like you do it all the time. So you're telling me that you don't have a special relationship with Sam Borelli? Doesn't his daughter-in-law, I believe, work for Tasha Diaz? How'd she get that job? Tasha's your candidate. She's your girl. You got her in there. No one else could have done it but you. Trust me. I got to give you that. No one could have got a woman like Tasha in there but you. And to be majority leader, I know you're pushing for city council president. Imagine that. Tasha Diaz, city council president. Oh, Jay, he has dreams of that. That's your girl. So she hired Sam Borelli's daughter-in-law in her office? Is it Melissa Borelli? It's all the connections are there. One hand wash the other, both wash the face. Ain't that right? I mean, you should have seen Mark Realty. Those guys from Mark Realty. Once I was at a meeting at the building department. At City Hall, City Council chambers. It was I believe a zoning board meeting, and those guys were there, and Sam was sitting off to the side. And then during a break, the group of Mark Realty guys all got up and went over to the front, and they're surrounded Sam Borelli, and they're all giggling and laughing. I should have. I think my phone had died, so I didn't get the video of it. But it was obvious. Sam Borelli's a mean guy. He's never smiling. But you should have seen him smiling that day with his Mark Realty buddies. The smile when you're making a lot of money and you got this scam going, and it's just so great. You don't want it to end. It's the money smile, the money giggle. So I know Sam Borelli knows Mark Realty very well. And some of you folks in the No Dine Hill section may have seen the blue and white signs that say Mark Realty. They're buying up everything. They know which properties to buy. They're getting help from the building department. And I spoke about that, and he's trying to say, well, prove that. He's saying, come on, Zehi. Come on. Stop it now. Stop it. So these are some of the things that he wants with, through the slap lawsuit that he's, filed against me, hoping that I would shut up. I'm not going to shut up, Zehi, because I'm never going to end. I'm not. I'm not going to stop this, right? Because look at what you did. You utilized Sam Borelli to harass my landlady over at my business. She didn't want to deal with me anymore because of it. And she made it impossible for me to fully open up. That's what happened. She knew how to get rid of me. Don't sign the documents. Don't allow him to install the fire system, which would have allowed us to have younger kids, more kids, but we were operating within the law. I mean, they were there many times, right? So you can, whatever these guys say, he did that. They were harassing him over a banner that I had that I see all over Yonkers, many places. These vinyl banners. And he kept harassing them, saying, oh, we're going to violate you. We're going to send you a violation for the banner. And it was my fault because then I got stubborn. I said, screw them. I'm going to leave it up there. But I didn't realize how that would impact the landlady because I was going to pay for the violations, but they made it seem to her that if this continued, eventually she would be responsible, which I told her, we'll pay for it. It was only $500. I had no problem paying for it, but they put pressure on her. They made her seem like, and this is what they do when they want to get people to sell, when they want to get people out, they utilize the building department to attack property owners. It's nothing new. Many property owners have experienced it. Many are just too scared to talk about it. So I've talked about that, and because of that, I'm being sued. Hezi Aris has attacked me and my family because freedom of speech is not creating false lies and attacking and harassing people. I may have said some things, I'll admit, but I didn't make them up. I didn't make them up. That's the difference. I didn't make my information up. You guys have. That's the difference. So, and I only said a lot of the stuff that maybe had nothing to do with politics, really, and maybe it was more personal because you guys went personal. So we're mutual combatants, right? When two people get into a fight, if they're both swinging at each other, no one gets arrested. Mutual combatants. It's not like you were standing there, here comes Freddie, and I'm just going to attack you, right? And your son works for the city. So if I talk about your son, he's the secretary of the Human Rights Commission. How did he get that job over all the other people? I hear that he is there every day, though, according to somebody that I speak to. But why not give it to a Hector Santiago? I mean, right? Other people, that could benefit from that job. Not someone whose dad's already wealthy. I hear has a $200,000 pool, has a bunch of properties, got money, right? But he's got connections. So they're going to get the job over other people here in the city of Yonkers, those who are more in need of a job. And that's exactly, again, what the individual who I saw today who works for the city was saying. This is why people are upset. Many people in the city of Yonkers. They're tired of seeing someone connected coming right in, getting more pay, doing less work, telling them what to do. They don't like it. And they're tired of it. And so people have given me a lot of this information, Hezi. So if you want to, fine. We can continue to do it. But I guess at this point, you can't back out, right? It will make you look bad. So you got to go through with it. Is that what it's about? I really don't care, Z. Like, I don't. If you don't know by now. Because in my mind, this ends two ways. We do amazing things here in the city of Yonkers for the community, for the kids that we love so much. Or you destroy me till I have nothing, and then I come hunting for you. That's the only two things I see. You want that problem? You want that problem? So, I don't know. I'm different. I'm not Hezi. I don't have health issues, thank God. I got a lot of energy. I know a lot of people. I'm bold. I'm fierce. Sasha Fierce. Right, Hezi? And I know a lot of your information, more than you think, more than you know I know. You want to call my bluff, go right ahead. I prepared for this. I did. I prepared for this. Right? I did. So I'm very strategic, by the way, too. I do things and post things very strategically. Hezi. I noticed your minions have stopped harassing me through their fake pages. I'm happy to see that. Thank you. And Ruros, no, I will not take down the Ruros wants me. This is the deal, Ruros. I really don't care. This is the deal he wants. He says, I will take down everything I posted about Freddie if he takes down everything he's posted about me. No deal. You know why? Because I posted the truth. And I must warn people of you. You're a dangerous man. Now, what you've posted to me is lies. People done saw it already. So I don't care. It's not true. Eventually, and people already have, come to realize that it's a bunch of BS. And if you know me, and you know my wife, you know that's a bunch of BS. It's nonsense. And then ultimately, it makes you just look like a liar, a crazy guy who really is out to get Freddie Vasquez. and his family. So keep it up there. I don't really care. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, bro. But I know what I've posted about you hurts you a lot more. And now I'm on a campaign, by the way, to let every elected official know. How dare you do business with a convicted pedophile? How dare you? The man had child porn in his phone. Did you know this? It's in a Yonkers police report. I mean, you can read it clear as day. He was charged with sexually abusing a child. Thank God for his lawyer, who one day I'm going to do a podcast about, because I'm hearing that this man was robbing a lot of Puerto Ricans, and now I took that personal. Okay. This man back in the 90s was robbing a lot of Puerto Ricans who didn't know any better, using a Puerto Rican secretary to lure in the unsuspecting victims, playing games with them, pretending he was going to actually help them, and just took their money and didn't do anything for them, because at the end of the day, he was in the city's pocket. And you owe my family some money, attorney guy. And now I know how you got rich. So you see, folks, these ain't nice people I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, Mother Teresa here. I'm talking about some of the most evil people that pretend to be nice. May have a lot of you fooled, but not me. Not me. You done robbed a lot of people along the way. You're not a nice person. I don't care how much people say that now about you. If you rob people along the way of your career and that's how you enrich yourself, then you are a bad man and you deserve some consequences. But yeah. And he hired the same attorney, Ruros, which allowed him to plead down to a lesser charge and get probation. You go from facing 7 to 14 years to probation. Because you see folks in the city of Yonkers, especially those who may get arrested or have gotten arrested, these judges are corrupt. They're corrupt. And you may hire an attorney that's cool with them, and they're going to screw you, and you won't even know. They're all in cahoots. Yonkers, judges, a lot of them, not all, I don't want to generalize, and a lot of these attorneys are in cahoots. And why? They will always defend the city of Yonkers, because a lot of these lawyers want to one day be a city court judge. $200,000 job, you just sit on that bench all day and do nothing. Forget tenant court. That's a racket over there. Landlord tenant court up in city of Yonkers. You ever had to go to that court? You think the judges run the court? No. Andy Romano runs that courtroom. That's for sure. Ain't that right, Andy? I think I saw you kicking your legs up on the desk. And just be like this. The judge is looking at him for guidance. What should I do, Andy? Kick his ass out. He ain't paying no rent. Yo, you guys with your real estate, man, you guys did amazing jobs, But I guess anyone would do good if they're the only ones that knew about the property and were able to buy them for $2,500. The house was worth at least $500,000. So these people enrich themselves in ways that are not fair. Cheating, stealing, lying, not playing by the rules, while expecting all of us to play by the rules. And if we don't, then they lock us up, or they fine us, or they take away our properties, strip us of everything, and sue us. That's what they do. And so Freddie's here to protect the people, fight for the people. Whatever comes with it, I'm with it. I'm not concerned or scared. Ask the lady doing the renovations of the 1855 Italiane at 235 Palisade about the building department. They made that poor lady go a whole winter with just a tarp covering the roof while she waited. Yeah, because they want that property. They don't want her to restore that house. They want to take that property. I got another story for you guys, but I can't say it right now. There's so much I want to say, guys. Like Zahi, so much I want to say, but I cannot. I have to wait. My attorney said, Freddie, courtroom, we're going to fire it up. But I know another story. What they do to people, especially when they want the property, especially if it's a nice lot in a specific location. Peanuts on the dollars they'll offer you. But if you don't take it, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to do anything on your property. That's mob tactics. Mob tactics. That's what that is. Right? Or cartel, plata o plomo. You're either going to do as we say or we're going to hurt you somehow. Whether it's physical or we're going to hurt you with the building department. That's what they did to my daycare center. Okay? I'm a victim. I lost a lot of money, folks. A lot of money. We were set to be making $6,200 a week. And they knew this. And so that's why they came in at that point, right? $6,200 a week. Right? Spent a lot of money. And I can never fully open up because when I planned for it, I planned to have a certain amount of kids and they gave me hell and I could never get to that amount of kids. And so I didn't make the money. So the staff got paid, right? Although they're trying to run a story that I didn't pay a staff member. Oh, he didn't write a check. Check bounce. Okay. Right. All my staff got paid. Always got paid. Right. So we lost money. But that's business. It is what it is. And we'll be back. We'll definitely be back and we plan on it. And I don't want to say too much because these people, they will stop me some way. They will try to harass me. They will try to mess it up for me. And so I have to be very quiet about what I'm doing. I have to be very quiet. I shouldn't even be saying that. Right? But that's what they do. Forever to get permits. Yeah, that's what they do to you. They will harass you through the building department. I know of a woman that was shaken down in District 4. They saw her doing some work in a business. They shut her down. Then they told her if she pays $5,000, they can get it pushed through right away. I just remembered. Zehi, I just remembered. There's that whole scheme you had going on, right? The $2,500 or $5,000 option, right? Depending where they were at in the process. And that's exactly what you guys try to do to that woman. Actually, the woman paid because people just pay. It's easier than to fight. I'm the idiot. You see what happens to those who fight? They get their businesses shut down. You should have just took the money, Freddie. You should have just sold out. You would be making money right now and buying all these material things and going to fancy galas with your wife, taking pictures so they can be posted on the city's webpage or different organizations. Why didn't you take the money? That's what they did to me. And they're utilizing the Yonkers Voice and Yonkers Newswire to say every nasty thing about me. And sometimes I mess up and I get emotional and I respond in stupid, immature ways. I know. I'm guilty. Shame on me. But I'm going to continue. Thank you, Will. I'm going to continue to stay strong because I don't plan on losing. I'll settle for a draw, but I definitely don't plan on losing. Definitely don't plan on losing, right? So Zehi, you know that I know. You know who gave me the information. You know that I had the information. You know what you were doing. What are you looking to gain? Is it to try and stop me from speaking? Because that has not worked. Is it to hurt my pockets? Because in a way you have, but I'm still going, motherfucker. You see? Because I don't care. Because I done been worse off before financially. So I'm okay. And thank God that I have a lot of, wealthy friends that have pledged to give me a lot of money. I think I showed a couple people the text message. They like me. And so, Zehi, I'm hoping that you can drop this, but I know that probably would be a stain on your, your ego. And maybe, you don't want to do that, right? Because you guys are the mob. You guys are the mobsters with the cigars in your mouths, right? By the way, I was looking at the Yonkers Newswire and seeing other stuff that they post about me because I'm just taking screenshots. I just collect everything from my attorney so I can give it to him. And so I'm doing that again today. And I happened to come upon the Tony Margie, like That post you put up about me is stupid. I'm not offended. I'm not a gang member. I never. Actually, you know why I'm a gang member. I'm with the Bloods. He's saying that I'm a gang member. Tony Margie, he's open. This is a business owner, a city employee. He's opened up the Tony's Deli over there on Salt Mill. He posted on there. He's calling me a gang member. He's trying to see, these people are materialistic, right? That's of the devil. Money is the root of all evil, right? That's why I said, I didn't take the money. I'm not like, that's not what I'm about, right? I've been there, done that, folks. I've been there, done that. You know, whatever you think money can buy. I'm not saying, only thing, I never flown on a private jet, right? But there's a lot of things I've done, you know what I'm saying? And it's cool, right? But it's not everything in life, you know, it's not. And it's not worth your pride. I mean, your you know, your soul, or who you are, your character, right? You know, your reputation, I should say, right? It's not, selling out is not worth it. To me, it's not. To me, it's not. And maybe I have other options, and, you know, maybe I can say that a lot easier than some other people, and I understand, but it's just not who I am. I'm not going to sell out. It's not about the money, but these people are very materialistic, right? And so Tony's trying to defend me because I had a recording studio once upon a time, and I catered to people who didn't have very much money. And so I was charging them $16 an hour. Yeah, Tony, that's right. I was charging $16 an hour. And that was many years ago. What is the minimum wage today, Tony? Do you know? What's 1 + 1? Do you know? It's $15, Tony. Today, 2023, it's $15. So this was over, 10, 15 years ago? So it's not bad, right? For 15 years, like about 15 years ago. Not bad, Tony, right? It was my hobby. I was helping kids. That's how I got to know a lot of the gang members. That's how I got to know a lot of people in the community. And it's serving me good today, Tony, because a lot of these people have looked out and have given me info. So, yeah. So he's very materialistic. He's bragging about his sources of income and stuff. And that's how they are. They want to be seen. They want to have these titles. They all want to make sure that they're secure financially, because they all may appear to be a certain way, but you never know what's actually happening with people, right? And so they may seem to be up here, but they could really be down here, just making it look good, right? And that can happen to anybody. That can happen to me, happen to you. I never take it for granted, but I know that money is not everything. Chasing a dollar is not everything. I did that. And you know what? It cost me time with people I loved who are no longer here. And so I refuse to do that again. Right? I refuse to focus on money, and I definitely am not going to damage my integrity for $1. Definitely not $75, B-Dog. Definitely not $75. Come on. I would have took the advertisement if you offered it for $1 million, but not $75. Nah, too low. Not worth it. Right? So I'm not, that's who I am. I'm for the people. I'm here for you folks. You know, I'm not going to give up my sources. They're wanting you guys to believe that I'm this bad person that's going to give up my sources, that you can't trust me. These people are telling you that you can't trust me. Imagine that. Imagine that. Why? Because they don't want you to give me information. They don't want you to trust me enough to provide me with information that could be damaging. It's just a good trick. It's a good tactic. I get it. Right? And you know, some people might say, oh, well, you told John. Listen, there's other things there that I don't mention, but I like John, but I think John sometimes, he's selfish. Right? John, you're for John, right? You're for John. And I guess that's you. You know, you're for John. And sometimes when you're like that, you don't see things outside of what you want to see, your tunnel vision, right? And you don't see that what you're doing, right, to get to where you want to be means that other people may get hurt, right? And that was the issue there. That was the thing. And you know, you are. I mean, Zahi should be suing your ass too. I mean, you know, because you know, and so that was the thing. And then there was some things I'm like, yo, you didn't put me on to that right there. You telling me you didn't know? You telling me that she didn't say nothing to you, John? Come on, man. I can't believe that, though. I cannot believe that. Right? I cannot believe that. And so I'm a type of person that's loyal to people who are loyal. If you are disloyal, I usually distance myself quietly. However, if you are operating within, this game and still, part of it, then I will speak on it because it's happening. It's it's going on right now and they're involved. It's not like they have nothing to do with this, right? You do. You're a part of this. I'm in this lawsuit, right? Maybe when you guys had that meeting, you could have said, hey, take the lawsuit off, Freddie. Right? I mean, I did kind of, you know what I mean? Motivate a little bit, but there was, I take responsibility too. I do, right? We utilized each other, right? We utilized each other. That's what I like to say. But I just would look out. Like if I knew certain information that was going to hurt you or your family, and I have. That's the thing. I have. Right? I did that. I gave information to, I put people onto information that was your family that I was told, and I know that they wanted me to talk about this, to try and get you guys, but I didn't do that. I didn't say it. I never mentioned it. And what I did was I called up the people. I said, yo, just want to let you know, this is what they're telling me. Blah, 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 blah. That's none of my business. Because it was really personal stuff between people that had nothing to do with me, people that never impacted me. So I'm not going to, I don't care. If you don't impact me, I don't care about you. I will never mention you, right? But if you impact me, definitely going to mention your ass, especially financially, right? So I put them on. I said, listen, that's, and they even try to explain to me. I like, you don't even got to explain that to me. I don't even care. Okay. Because it's none of my business. I'm just letting you know what's being said. So, putting you on. So you're aware, looking out. But that wasn't done for me. You're not looking out for me. If you're not looking out for me, yet you're utilizing me and it's creating the problem that you're not looking out for me for, then you don't care if I, destruct. It's just part of, what do you call that? Casualty, collateral damage. And I didn't want to be collateral damage, right? So I flip it. You know what I mean? I'm a flipper, like Tasha Diaz. And that's what that was. Like, I just like, nah, because I maneuver a certain way where I always keep everything and people don't like that. And some people don't like that and they'll say, oh, you got to watch for that guy. No, you don't got to watch for me. I got to watch for you. And that's why I do what I do. Because I'm always going to look out for Freddie, as you should always look out for yourself, because you can't trust people. Nobody. Can't trust people. And that's just, what that was. But if you are legit with me, I'm always going to be legit with you. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And there's a lot of dudes out there that will vouch for me, because I was always a solid dude. You know what I mean? But you got to be solid with me. And so that's where we at. So Zehi, your slap lawsuit is not going to work on me, buddy. It's just not. And, Andrew Cuomo, what he did in 2020 was he made it even harder for these frivolous lawsuits to be filed, right? He knew that people were being slapped with these lawsuits, with these slap lawsuits, no pun intended. And so he protected people from these frivolous lawsuits, specifically citizen journalists who were, being targeted by these lawsuits because, they were, because of what they were saying, because of what they were reporting. However, Governor Kathy Hochul is a different story. She wants to censor us and silence us, but a federal court upheld, right, our right to free speech when she tried to restrict it even further. That's what she did. So Kathy Hochul, I don't really like her. I knew from day one when, as soon as she got in there, she mandated the mask when Governor Cuomo didn't want to. I knew she wasn't for us. She was no good. So, but they love her out here in Yonkers, don't they? They love her in Yonkers, don't they? Listen, I don't care. I already know. I just care about what I want to do in this community. Excuse me. I just care about what I want to do in this community. I don't give a flying, who the mayor is. I don't. I'm just trying to help the kids in this community. It's sad, especially when you see a lot of families being pushed out. I was talking to someone on Facebook, and they were telling me how a lot of families were given these vouchers where they can go anywhere in the country. And so a lot of people went down south. They were hoping that they can stay together, but a lot of families were broken up after they, went in and demolished Mulford Gardens. They went in and demolished Cottage, and they demolished the chicken coops, and they didn't bring the people back. In fact, they didn't even bring the same amount of units back. So they actually have reduced the number of affordable or low-income housing that they have here in the city of Yonkers under the guise of renovating them and making them better. Sure, they needed to be improved, but they needed all to be brought back. And the people that were living in them deserve to have first dibs. But that was not the case. They went private. And that's more of what I've been exposing. And that was Wilson Kimball at the zoning board. And congratulations to Wilson's husband, Slim Jim Kavanaugh. I hear he may be the new planning commissioner as Lou Albano retires. No, Lou, you are not his guy. Remember the $1,000 you returned? I love this shit. I do it in a funny way. I try to be a comedian about it, right? I try to be funny about the information that's truthful that I'm giving to you guys so you can understand what's happening here. Yeah, he turned down $1,000 someone put on his desk, I hear, in order to get something done for them, special treatment. But I heard he returned it. He took it back. I'm not with this. So, that's honest, man. And we're going to miss that. But I guess when you're honest, you got to go. You got to go. You got to go. We got to bring in Jim Kavanaugh. By the way, Jim Kavanaugh, please. I know you've liked the podcast a few times. You've given me the hearts, and I know they were sarcastic in nature. You don't even have to explain. I already know, because I doubt you're loving my podcast, honestly. So, but while you're watching, can you please answer me this? Who was the Jose Alvarado in Nodine Hill that was breaking into houses and raping people? It was like a Night Stalker type of deal. You guys know who the Night Stalker is? Richard Ramirez over in LA in the 70s. Imagine waking up and someone standing next to you. Imagine that. That's what he would do to his victims. So we had a Richard Ramirez here in the city of Yonkers, but his name was Jose Alvarado. What is it with you Spanish stalkers? Is that what we do? Serial killers who are Spanish, we creep and stalk and we stand by your bed. All right. Jose Alvarado. Was it the current county legislator, Jose Alvarado? Both were Honduras. Both lived in the Nodine Hill section of Yonkers. Both were named Jose Alvarado. And Jim Kavanaugh, the current Yonkers Industrial Development Agency president, who once was a real journalist working for the Herald Statements, I believe, wrote an article about this crazy creep named Jose Alvarado, burglarizing homes and raping women in the Nodine Hill section. Which Jose Alvarado was that? Jim, I need to know this. I'm good, right, Jim? Someone told me I should have been a detective. I'm good, right, Jim? Did you ever think I would find that? Probably didn't. I found a lot of stuff. Old articles. Is that why we had that fire in the records department? I know so much stuff. I'm just laughing at my own head because I know things. But Jim, I would love to know if that was Jose, because that would be another Westchester Board of Election county legislator scandal, right? Folks, I'm Freddie Vasquez. It's been an hour. I love you. Have a beautiful weekend. Zahi, what am I going to do with you, guy? I see you making more. I saw you with Dr. Amir Rabadi, man. That's very nice. Dr. Rabadi is the official doctor for the city of Yonkers and the Yonkers Public Schools. I wouldn't put it past if you knew that with my wife, what was going on, Dr. Rabadi. I wouldn't. Listen, I know you called me, but you know what? You know what they do? Some people will call me to be cool with me, act like they're my friend, right? Oh, I just want to say, man, I hate that to see what's happening. I hate to see what they're doing to you, blah, 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 blah. But they're doing that because they want to be perceived as, oh, they're good. They couldn't be a part of it. Oh, they called me up. They said they like what I'm doing. They appreciate me. Come on. I know the games. Because if you really meant that, you would say it publicly, Dr. Rabadi. You know that means more if you say it publicly. You're a prominent guy. But anyway, congratulations on your new church. How do you think is the best way to deal with me, Dr. Rabadi? Did you get that guy his damn scooter? They blaming me for taking his money from the GoFundMe page. I never touched a dollar of it. Did you get him the scooter? Omi, did he get you the scooter? Omi, I hear you good at finagling things out of people. I didn't drink anything today, folks. I promise you. I'm just drunk off the information. Anyway, Dr. Rabadi, congratulations to your church. Is it on Lockwood? Is it that church at the top of Lockwood? Because if it is, I'm going to assume that you guys got me out of there because you didn't want to see me. I may be just crazy for thinking that, and it's probably the furthest thing from the truth. But is that the church you guys bought? Just curious. Just a few questions. And Jim, which Jose Alvarado was burglarizing and raping women in No Dine Hill? 2 questions we should be asking, folks. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. And corruption dies. Slap lawsuits are intended to harass, bully, and silence citizen journalists like myself. I guess I am a journalist. I never intended to be a journalist, but I've become one, and this is God's doing, so I got to follow God's path. Zehi, God has brought me here. You can't beat God. That's why I know I'm going to win, because it's not me you're fighting. You're fighting God. I got God behind me. He doesn't like evil, Zehi. And you've done a lot of evil things. You know that. Shit.
Freddie wins.
Guy.
Fatality.
Guys eat.
Freddie
Tasha
wins.
hate me too. Yo, Tasha. You know I got Tasha. I got I think like 700 hearts on that Instagram, my Instagram page, Tasha. The video I did about you, you know, when you were loading, you had the white dude loading it up. Is that like a reverse racism thing? Are you like getting them back? You didn't want. If you're delivering it, why weren't you loading it? Huh? Why were you helping him? Why were you trying to like act like you weren't a part of it, or you weren't with him? By the way, anyway, I got over 700 likes on that, a lot of comments, and Jeff Meyer, yes, you are welcome to come on the podcast anytime you want. Don't go on Instagram saying that I'm scared to have you on when I never knew you wanted to be on. You never asked me to be on. I didn't know that was an option. Usually, the Zehi guys are scared to come on the podcast, and you're a Zehi guy, so I just assume. I apologize. You should never assume, but you're more than welcome, Jeff. politicwithfred@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let's set the date. Let's go. I'm ready. Are you? By the way, I saw that the Ridgeway Alliance Church was a part of the Cult Awareness Network. Someone sent that to me today. What's that about? I'm not saying you guys are a cult, but you might want to check that out and see if you can get your names off that cult list. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. Yonkers has a dark cloud, dark secrets with pedophilia. You guys heard of the Nest? Those creepy doctors up in North Broadway that were molesting kids. What about the sexual molestation of boys that was going on in the 90s? Yonkers Boys and Girls Club on Ridge Avenue, right around the corner from pedophile karate school Ruros. Did you know that Ruros also volunteered at the Yonkers Boys and Girls Club even after he pled guilty to violating a little girl? He was supposed to stay away from kids, yet they let him volunteer at the Yonkers Boys and Girls Club, where kids were making accusations that they were molested in the 90s. Yonkers has a dirty, dark history. Maybe we need to destroy and rebuild the city. I'm Freddie Vasquez. And
Freddie wins.
Basement Politics,
Fatality.
going to the pits of hell to bring you the truth.
Freddie wins. Fatality.
You're watching Basement Politics with my dad, Freddie Vasquez.
You hear that girl right there? That's my 12-year-old daughter that got to witness the CSCA president, CSCA 9169 president, Alberto Velasquez, calling me a bitch. She was in between the two of us because he was on one side of my car. I was in the driver's seat, my daughter in the passenger seat. He's calling me a bitch. And I say to him, is that how you speak in front of a girl? That's when he said, what you gonna do? And then he tried to hit my car. Hattie Adams. He tried to hit my car with kids in it. Hattie, I hope you spoke to him. I sent you that email. That guy's a threat to the public. He's a menace to society. And I'm sure he's in DR right now, spending a lot of money
Freddie wins.
on the mamacitas. I'm Freddie Vasquez. This is Basement Politics. I know all about you.